Today will be the third funeral I've attended for a close family member. The first was for my aunt, my mom's sister. She died in 2008 of ovarian cancer. The second was for my mom, who died in 2009 of breast cancer. This, the third, is for my grandfather, my mom's dad. In the 7 months since he's died, I've sometimes wondered if he could now look back at the entirety of his own life and pick the moment when he would have liked to have passed away. When would that moment be? The last few years he was around, was he truly living or simply existing? Strokes had damaged his ability to speak very well at all, and being unable to communicate the way he wanted to caused him to retreat inward. His ability to take care of himself degraded steadily over time, and by the very end, it seemed like he was even having a hard time recognizing his wife of almost 60 years. So, technically, he died last December, and we're officially celebrating his life as a family today, but it's been a long time since he was the man I grew up around. When my mom became pregnant with me, she was still relatively young, living at home with her parents, and my grandparents were pretty involved in my upbringing, and I remember my grandfather being a very stern but loving presence. He was a military man, so everything was always by the book, labeled, organized, filed away in its proper place. It always felt like I had accomplished something great whenever I managed to impress him. He had a metal ruler on his desk that had a sort of bronzy gold color to it, and I remember him being tickled when I called it the Golden Rule, and feeling proud of myself when he later told my mom about the pun. He also had a computer running DOS in his office, and he would often express how impressed he was that as a kid, I could navigate the file system and write dumb little stories in a word processor and print things out and launch games. I was playing SimCity once while he was looking over my shoulder, and he chuckled to himself, saying that my city layout made more sense than a lot of real-life cities. I don't know how true that actually was, but that sort of positive reinforcement from him around my ability to use a computer, I think, helped shape my lifelong love of computers, which has obviously been enormously pivotal in how my life has turned out so far. All the way up through college, my grandfather was always proud and supportive of what I did in that very military way of his, especially when it came to my time in marching band, I suspect because of how military adjacent it is. And even after college, when I got into YouTube, even though he never really understood social media and the world of online video, he never made me feel bad or misguided for pursuing my passions. One of the biggest ways he's still constantly with me is when I laugh, when I hear myself laugh. Sometimes it's his laugh that comes out of my mouth. And it's very specifically when something catches me off guard with how funny it is. So, for whatever reason, unexpected funniness is the thing that taps into the DNA that I inherited from my mother's father. Ultimately, I feel a bit disappointed that by the time I became a mostly level-headed functional adult, he had already kind of moved into a state where he just wasn't the same person anymore. And that means missing out on valuable conversations that can only happen between people that have at least a moderate amount of life experience under their belt. But I'm still very grateful that he was my grandfather. He provided for his family. He helped set an example for me about what paternal love can look like. And I hope that when I move into the phase of my life where I'm raising a family, what I build is something that he would be proud of if he were looking over my shoulder.